Alright, we are on the play with Rug Delver. Is this a keep? This hand looks pretty good. Yeah, why not? We're going to start off with Breeding Pool, Traverse, get an island. It's a little unfortunate that we won't have access to red mana for at least a little while, but that should be okay. If we need a fast clock, we're almost certainly going to be slamming Goyf. Otherwise, it's probably Visions to find red mana and Spell Snare to interact. Sleight of Hand, probably Storm. Could be Ad Nauseam. Either way, I want a fast clock and I want Spell Snare. We could start off with Delver Visions, or maybe Delver Snare. If it's Storm, we don't necessarily need to interact this turn, assuming they don't have an enabler. If they do have Goblin Electromancer or Brawl, I definitely want Snare up because we don't know when the red mana's coming. On the other hand, if it's Ad Nauseam, we probably want a Snare right now for, say, a Pentad Prism. Probably just Delver, hold up Snare so that we can sort of get a bit of a compromise going. I want a clock and I also want to be able to interact. Steam Vents is making me think quite far towards Storm. It's almost certainly not Ad Nauseam. We're going to reveal that, get rid of the window, and I believe we want to Visions and attack. This could also be a Delver deck of sorts. They run Sleight of Hand sometimes. Some people run Sleight of Hand in Rug Delver, actually. Usually where I would play Traverse is where you would find the Sleight of Hand. Remand is making me lean very strongly towards Storm. I don't want to counter that. We're going to get in for 3, and I think we're just going to keep holding up Spell Snare. No. If they didn't have the mana, the cost reducer on 2, then we're just going to ignore the Remand plus draw step and dig instead. Because if/when we do find red mana, we have Bolt anyways. Ooh, we even have Shoal. That's an excellent draw for us. Now it doesn't even matter that we tapped out. Of course, we had no way of knowing we'd draw Shoal, so that was 0% skill on my end, but as far as luck goes, we cashed in. There's the Electromancer, and I'm pretty sure I'm happy to give up Snapcaster Mage for that, given that we don't have our third land yet. So why not? Counter that, pitch that. If we do find our third land, then we can go Goyf, hold up Snare, which sounds pretty appealing. It's notable that, oh no, there's their third land drop. I was going to say we're both missing land drops, but that is not strictly true. There is the land. We're going to play Goyf, and then we could fetch a Steam Vents if we need to Spell Snare. It's unfortunate that they could untap and gift, but that's not the end of the world, even if they do. Really, we just want to keep them off of whatever scares us for 2 more turns, and then we win the game. So, keep on clocking, keep on disrupting. I'm happy to not see a gift, given that we can't interact with it currently. Serum Visions is quite good, though, so I don't know. And they have a handful of cards. Baral, I'm going to Bolt on the end step. Save Spell Snare for a Manamorphose. Would I rather have double green or triple blue? I actually think it's triple blue. Let's take care of that. Misty makes this a lot less relevant. Do I want to fetch here? Probably. I could very well see wanting the 4th land. Our life total isn't very relevant. Their hand is basically full. They have 6 cards. If Storm has 6 cards, we're probably dead soon. Second red source? Do I want anything untapped? Probably not. Let's get that tapped. Serum Visions. Forked Bolt could be good. I'm going to give us the option of drawing it if we need the reach. If we don't want it, we will scour it away. They're going down to 5. So if they deal with one of our threats, Forked Bolt could help win the game. They could somewhat reasonably have a Echoing Truth to slow down the Goyf, or say a Lightning Bolt for the Delver, although I don't think they generally play Bolt in the main. I know Storm often plays Bolt in the sideboard. Don't know about the main. If we counter Manamorphose, what do they have going for them? Land plus Baral means we win, especially because of the Noxious Revival. I'm almost certain this is an excellent play. The Noxious Revival makes Forked Bolt basically irrelevant, so we're just going to slow them down a touch. If they have land plus Baral, that's fine. If they have land into a Chain of Rituals, it probably just doesn't matter. Manamorphose is my favorite ritual to counter because it fixes mana, although it doesn't generate mana, and it also draws a card, so it's one of the best cards in their deck, if not the best card in the deck. So usually, if I have a counter and they start chaining things, or they're going to chain things, Manamorphose is the one that I like to go after. Against Storm, I think I want another mountain. I do want Pyroclasm because empty the Warrens. It also does a somewhat adequate job of dealing with Electromancer. Explosive seems bad. It's 4 mana, destroy cost reducer. Vapor Snag seems bad. Pillar of Flame seems bad because it doesn't deal with Baral. Pyroclasm also doesn't deal with Baral, but that deals with Empty the Warrens. Blood Moon is not going to be good. They will be bringing in Blood Moon, so... Well, I mean, they usually bring in Blood Moon. We are pretty resistant to it, so I could see someone who's well-versed with Delver not bringing in Blood Moon, but usually they do. They could always get it out on a ritual, so it's still at least okay. Huntmaster is just way too slow. We don't want to play that game. They don't run artifacts that I can recall, and besides Blood Moon, I don't think they run enchantments. I don't do a lot of sideboarding against Storm because we are basically pre-boarded against it. Let's look at what we brought in. I could see cutting Forked Bolt. I usually want all the bolt effects in matchups like this, but Forked Bolt isn't great because it doesn't deal with Baral. Neither does Tarfire, but Tarfire does a little more on the graveyard side. I think you cut a Snapcaster Mage because it is a bit slow. Dismember is almost a strictly better burn spell, except not going to the face. The life loss isn't very relevant. I want all the counters. I could see cutting Simic Charm, but I do want Shoal Pitch 2 to be okay. It's notable that we don't have the third Mana Leak. now that we're playing 5 of the low CMC counters. So that is something to pay attention to. That definitely makes me want all the denials, but I wouldn't cut those anyways. I could see cutting a Traverse. Visions is staying. Perhaps a Forked Bolt. I just brought in a land. Maybe a Simic Charm. That's basically it. Which of these cards is the worst? It's probably Traverse, because it's only good for fixing mana. And the second mode is almost useless. We don't have any lands, so this is a mulligan. We can cast Shoal. That's something. This hand is significantly better, although it's not great. Definitely don't want that. Go to us. Our opponent starts off on a Serum Visions, and I'm honestly considering leading on Wooded Foothills in case they have Ritual into Blood Moon, because that basically makes it so that they are screwed if they make that play. We already have the island in hand, which makes us quite resistant to the Blood Moon play, but if we get a forest, we are even better positioned. If we don't expect a turn 2 Blood Moon, I want to lead on Scalding Tarn to get a Steam Vents for either of these, whichever becomes applicable. Foothills could also get the Steam Vents if they don't go for the Blood Moon, but then we can't get a basic forest. Although, if we lead on Foothills, they don't go for Blood Moon, we Thought Scour, and then we can get a Breeding Pool off of Scalding Tarn, Slam Mandrills. So that actually seems like we are protected somewhat against it, because if they do Blood Moon, well, we have a Hooting Mandrills with a Pyroclasm in tow. And we can Bolt an Enabler. So I might just do the hedge play. Starting on Wooded Foothills, because it doesn't have the ceiling that Scalding Tarn does, where you could Scalding Tarn, get Steam Vents next turn, get Forest, and you're good. Slightly more mana efficient even. Except if we do it this way, if they do have the early Blood Moon, we basically ignore it. I'm going to get the Forest because we may as well. We don't need the mana, because next turn I'm going to Thought Scour off of a Steam Vents from this very generous Scalding Tarn. So we are going to be slightly less efficient with our mana. But in exchange for that, we cannot be Blood Mooned out of the game. That seems like a good idea to me. Keep in mind, all of this was enabled by the basic island in my hand. I almost certainly would rather get a basic island before a basic forest if I expect Blood Moon. So I would have gone with the Scalding Tarn play, get an island, Thought Scour, but having the island in our hand, allows us to just go right at it. We can't Bolt Visions and hold something up, but that's not really even necessary. So I think we just Bolt the Electromancer, get in. I want to attack first, just in case they're inclined to block Mandrills. Maybe they mess up. That works for me. Now I think I want to go with the island. We drew a Stomping Ground. Snapcaster and Spell Snare are on their way. I like both of these cards. I want the Spell Snare first, I believe. And I'm just going to kill the Electromancer while they're tapped out. And can't cast any spells with the advantage of Electromancer, making them cheaper. So far, so good. We are in a pretty good position, given that we have Snare, Snap, Snare coming up. We can actually Snare, Bolt, untap, Snap, Snare, Pyroclasm. The math works out that way. The math works out. Here's a Desperate Ritual. They might end up going off, It's also possible they just end up doing an Empty the Warrens. Well, that's going to be a lot of mana. Manamorphose, we could be dead. It is entirely possible. Maybe we should have gone Steam Vents Shock instead of playing this island, not play the Serum Visions, and then Bolt, hold up Lightning Bolt. But they get to... Once they resolve Electromancer, we don't get priority to Lightning Bolt them before they cast their Ritual. So even if Electromancer's gone, they have 3 mana, Ritual again, they have 4 mana. Manamorphose, still 4. And I think that results in just about the same thing. Hopefully it's not a big grape shot. I would be ecstatic if our opponent just went for a massive Empty the Warrens here. The biggest Empty the Warrens anyone's ever seen. Please. Just don't grape shot us for lethal. Also, don't kill Mandrills, please. They have plenty of cards and plenty of mana, so I do expect to be dead by the end of the turn. Before the end of the turn, even, because we won't get to the end step. However, if they don't go off, Empty the Warrens, yes. Yes. Just empty. Just empty. It's okay. Just make 1,000 1/1s. Please end your turn. 2 empties. Jeez. I just want to know how many goblin tokens they have. Look how slowly the scroll bar moves. This is amazing. Okay. Okay. This is basically the greatest thing ever. So we are going to Pyroclasm, red, green, wipe the board. Attack, they take 4. Shock, Spell Snare with Island, this Steam Vents will hold up Lightning Bolt. Just a quick thing, they have 1, 2, 3, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 36 plus 11, 47, minus 1. They have 46 1/1 goblins and a 2/2 Electromancer. That's fantastic. That's why you board in Pyroclasm against Storm. Just in case anyone didn't know. If I didn't have Pyroclasm in my hand, I would be dead right now. So, Mazel Tov, Pyroclasm. Here's to you. Great sideboard card. Go to end step. Now we can deal with pretty much anything they have. Our opponent doesn't like that we had the Pyroclasm. What are you gonna do? They go for a Serum Visions. I don't think they'll be able to go off again. If we didn't have anything, they probably could, given the right cards. As is, it seems unlikely. Here's a Snapcaster Mage. We could Bolt, Snap, Bolt, and kill them. But I think we want to be slightly more patient than that. If we shock, we can Snare Bolt, Snap, Bolt. Okay, so our opponent is extremely salty. We're just going to close that off. We're going to shock so that we have Bolt, Snap, Bolt, and Spell Snare. Actually, I do have Bolt. I have both of those. Wow. They must be clairvoyant. Which is kind of ironic because they didn't see the Pyroclasm coming. Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, when your deck is made up of cards that are good against Storm, you're going to draw well against Storm because you're going to draw the cards in your deck, which conveniently are good against Storm. So I don't exactly feel bad, especially when our opponent goes off at us telling us to draw better That's some language that I don't speak, but I'm pretty sure they are insulting us right now. Given that I know just a touch of Italian, and, well, the flag there says that they're Italian, and, those words look at least somewhat Italian. I recognize just a touch of that. Let's get that off screen. Lightning bolt at you. Yup. Alright, so that was a nice game against Storm. Nauseous Revival, sure. Going out on their own terms, I could respect that if they weren't being excessively rude. So we're going to close that off. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that video regardlessly of our opponent. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.